the last taxi ride. Emma stumbled out of the nightclub, her head spinning from the cocktails, shots, and whatever else she had thrown back that night. The air was cool against her flushed skin as she pulled out her phone, struggling to focus on the screen. Her Uber app refused to load. "Taxi!" she called out, waving her arm. A black sedan rolled up beside her, the taxi sign glowing faintly on the roof. The driver, a man in his 40s with short cropped hair and a friendly smile, leaned out the window. "You need a ride, miss?" Emma nodded eagerly and slid into the back seat. "Where to?" he asked, adjusting the rear view mirror to meet her glassy eyes. "Just home," she mumbled, giving him her address. She sank into the seat, tired from the night of dancing and drug abuse.
"Rough night?" he chuckled, pulling onto the road.
Emma giggled. "You have no idea. I'm going to be so hungover tomorrow." "Actually, I have something for that. A little miracle pill, no hangover." Emma squinted at the small orange tablet he held out between two fingers. She hesitated for a moment, but then shrugged. "One more can't hurt." She popped it into her mouth and washed it down with the last sip of her White Claw. The car kept moving, but the world inside the vehicle began to shift. "Hey, wake me up when we get there, okay?" she slurred, her eyelids too heavy to keep open. "Of course, my lady," he said softly. Then she fell into darkness. When Emma's eyes flickered open, she was no longer in the taxi. The surroundings smelled damp, like mildew and rust. Her arms were pulled tight behind her, her wrists raw from the rope digging into them. A dull, flickering light bulb buzzed overhead, barely illuminating the concrete walls. A basement. Panic struck her hard, the chair beneath her creaking with her frantic movements. Footsteps echoed from the shadows. The taxi driver emerged, his face calm. In his hand, a long, thin blade glinted under the weak light. "You took the pill," he said, crouching in front of her. "That means you belong to me now." Emma opened her mouth to scream, but her throat was too dry, her body too weak. The drug still had its claws in her. "Shh," he cooed, pressing a gloved finger to her lips. "I love this part. When they realize." He dragged the knife along her cheek, the cold metal sending shivers down her spine. "You know, I've done this a dozen times," he mused. "Each girl reacts differently. Some beg, some cry, some try to fight." He smiled, but they all end up the same. Terror pulsed through her veins. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. He stood up, rolling his shoulders. "I'll give you a choice, Emma. Do you want to go quick or slow?" Emma thrashed, kicking her bound feet out, knocking over the chair. She hit the floor hard, her head smacking against the cold cement. Stars burst in her vision, but she didn't stop struggling. He sighed. "Slow it is." The last thing Emma saw was the blade descending, carving into her flesh as a gurgled scream died in her throat. The room swallowed her pain, her agony, her existence, just as it had for all the others before her. Follow at the Creepistrage for your day dose of creepiness.